Hello, folks, and we're back here with part two for Ryan Hilegas. I had this video kind of already prepared, and I've been doing a lot of Brendan videos, and so I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I decided to go ahead and throw out the Ryan Hilegas video today. I hope you guys enjoy it. I think he's a very suspicious fellow, of course, you know that. Hey everybody, how you doing? Here today to doing a second video about Ryan Hilegas. You guys may have seen my previous video, but anyways, just some more strange things about Ryan that stand out to me. Essentially, this is essentially what I have here today is some excerpts from Ryan being questioned prior to the trial. It was like a pre-trial thing where they were cross-examining some of the witnesses and stuff like that. Anyways, this is a excerpt from when Jerry Buting is questioning Ryan in during that point. So, what we got is in this first segment here coming up. Ryan Buting is going to be asking Ryan about his contact with law enforcement and stuff like that, kind of generally. And then Ryan kind of tells him, he knew Sheriff Poggle or whatever, or he met him or something. Anyways, I'll let you go ahead and see the document here, and I'll come back and talk about it. Buting asks, and then after Thursday night, did you also have some contact with police or law enforcement on Friday? Ryan responds, I believe on Friday I talked to Jerry Poggle, and I'm pretty sure it was regarding, more. They had, I spoke to the police every day regarding questions about Teresa, personal items and friends of hers, people who may know information about her. I talked to Jerry on Friday, just shortly, and just mentioned what we were doing. I said we had put up posters, and I kind of told him the plan for things, basically saying that he spoke to Jerry Poggle and stuff. All right, so there we see Buting asks Ryan if he had any contact with law enforcement on Friday. Ryan says that he had a brief call with Sheriff Poggle. He then says he spoke with law enforcement every day. Okay, note that for the future in this video here, because every single day, he just said right there, every single day, right? Okay, so the thing is that he doesn't want to be very specific. It seems like he's being very deliberate to not be very specific. I think he probably would have rather not even said Sheriff Poggle's name, but you can tell by the rest of this testimony that he is basically trying to avoid saying any other names, and he's trying to be very vague about things. It really looks to me like he's trying not to answer things in a way that might cause them to subpoena his phone records, but at the same time he's trying to not seem obstructive, so he's trying to seem like he's trying to answer the questions. He's just trying to play dumb. Anyway, that's my opinion. It just seems like he's trying to obscure how much contact he actually had with law enforcement. So, but we'll get to that in the coming segments. Did you also speak with Investigator Wiegert on Friday? I don't know that for sure, Ryan responds. What about Saturday morning? Did you speak with him? I don't know that for sure either. Is it possible that you did? I don't know, Ryan says. He says, I don't know a lot. All right, so in that segment, Buting asks him if he had any contact with lead investigator Wiegert. Okay. To which he says he doesn't know. I don't know, he says. Okay. So then Buting asks him, well, do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that you had contact with the lead investigator of this investigation? To which he again responds, I don't know. Okay. Buting's not asking about some random sergeant or deputy or something like that. Buting is asking about the lead investigator here. Okay? The fact that Ryan is like, I don't know. Okay, we're talking about this guy was the leader of the civilian search party. Okay? This guy was the leader of the civilian search party. Okay? To try to feign as though he doesn't know who the lead investigator is and whether or not he talked to the lead investigator is extremely fishy, extremely odd. It stands out to me, okay? Because like I said, they're not asking about some random deputy or sergeant or whatever, you know. They're asking about the head honcho of the investigation. So, you know, like I said, it just comes back to, I think Ryan is just deliberately just trying to be vague and not say anything specific, because he really doesn't want, I think he just doesn't want his phone records to end up getting subpoenaed, because we now know that Zellner got them. Zellner got those phone records and saw what his activity was, and we now know that he was in contact with law enforcement quite a bit over those couple of days. So that's, I think, what he was trying to hide here. I think it's pretty obvious, because he's just trying, like I said, he's just trying to say as little as possible, but without lying, because he doesn't want to perjure himself, but just being very vague about everything. So that's what I think's going on here. We'll go ahead and move on to the next document here. Is it possible that you did? Well, did you, let me ask it this way. Did you speak with any law enforcement people on Saturday morning, November 5th? I don't know, he says. Okay, so now Buting asks, did you speak with any members of law enforcement on Saturday morning? And Ryan says, I don't know. Well, Ryan, you should know, because you've already stated earlier in your testimony that you spoke with law enforcement every day. So the answer to that question should be yes. Now, he's obviously going to, I don't know, remember who it was or whatever. That's probably where he's going with it. But the whole fact of the matter is that he's already stated that he talked to law enforcement every day. So for him to say, I don't know, just like I said, it's to me, it's him trying to be evasive and dodge potentially getting pinned down. Is the way it looks to me. So, I mean, there's no way in heck I'm going to believe that law enforcement didn't check in with the leader or members of the civilian search party that morning, especially because we already know from phone calls that went through dispatch and stuff like that, we already know that they were doing something that morning, and that they said specifically that they needed to get in contact with the civilian search party, that they had something that they needed to speak about. So that's, you know, just more, it's just more of him being evasive, and that's what I'm trying to point out here, is his evasiveness. And I think all of this evasiveness is, when you think about it, all of this evasiveness that he's portraying here is because he didn't want his phone records to get subpoenaed, but he didn't want to lie. So he's kind of trying to walk a fine line, and I think he leaves himself open for a healthy cross-examination, honestly. But I don't know, you know. Obviously, Buting and Strang decided not to go after him too hard on that, but I don't know. When you read this, you obviously can tell he's trying to avoid something, though. So that's why I'm pointing it out. We'll move on to the next document here right now. Other than Thursday, November 3rd, which is the day I think you said you actually met with Investigator Wiegert, right? Yes. Did you have any phone conversations with him after that, between that time and when the vehicle was located? Answer, Detective Wiegert, I don't know. Is it possible or are you sure either way? I don't know. Like I said, I talked to so many of the detectives and the police throughout the whole search. Not just those first few days, you know, which would lead to him going on the property and all that, right? Yeah. Okay, so in that clip, or in that piece of testimony, Buting establishes that Ryan met Wiegert. He actually met him in person early on. Yeah. And yet Ryan is still not sure if he had any contact with him after that. I mean, He then goes on to say that he was contacted by many members of law enforcement beyond the days of November 3 through 5. But he doesn't remember. See, the thing is that he's not remembering. Wiegert isn't just some detective. Wiegert isn't just some guy in Calumet County Sheriff's Department. He's the lead investigator. And Ryan is the leader of the civilian search party. These two should know who each other are. Right? Just saying. Anyways, they totally should know who each other are. And the fact that Ryan is trying to dodge it looks, to me, just fishy. Shows that there's something uneven going on. Something under the table. Something is off. Definitely off. So, anyways, you also got to ask yourself: is how is it possible that the leader of the civilian search party could have no idea when they've spoken to the lead investigator of the investigation into the murder of Teresa Hallback, or the missing persons report case? Anyway, how could he not know? Really? Anyways, so that's about it for this segment. Just another set of things about Ryan Hilegas that just look funny, don't add up. And anyways, so if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you all soon.